Greetings, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday afternoon here in the southeast. It was lovely this weekend. I mean, Saturday was a bit rainy, but man, yesterday was nice and cool. Today's been nice and cool. It's like low 80s right now. It is absolutely wonderful. I had a pretty decent weekend. I hope all y'all did as well. For newsy type stuff, China saying they're going to put export controls on materials that have rare earth metals in them, or the manufactured / refined rare earth metals themselves, for November 1st, and then Trump's verbal retaliation, just crashing the stock market. Not crashing, but a 3% drop in the stock market was pretty crazy to see, and it's bounced back up a little bit, but man, it just really shows how fragile this system is and how just like inflated and speculative it is. And a single man's words can just destroy everything, and just make it very unclear what could be happening, right? But yeah, I mean, that's what they want you to have all your savings in. It's what they want your retirement fund to be based in, not Social Security. They don't want all that. Just scary, very scary. Right? It's how it is now until we can make it better, until we can get a stronger, federalized pension system. Remove the cap. Remove the Social Security cap. Anyways, let's get into the news for the day.
I'm committed to supporting nonprofits with financial management services such as budgeting.
Still doing their ads.
ypetc.com/NPR.
And then whoops, I think I'm about to start back up.
From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Andrew Limbaugh. Technological innovation has led to a steady rise in standards of living for the last 2 centuries. 3 men who studied that process were rewarded today with the Nobel Prize in Economics. Their findings could help shape our response to next-generation breakthroughs like artificial intelligence. NPR's Scott Horsley explains.
To illustrate the dizzying advance of technology over the last 200 years, members of the Nobel Prize Committee held up a slide this morning showing the evolution of the telephone, from an antique hardwired desktop model to a sleek modern smartphone. Despite those advances, though, 2 out of 3 Econ Prize winners missed their congratulatory phone call this morning from the Nobel Committee.
See, my phone is set in such a way that I can only receive phone calls from people on my contact list, because I don't think it's called in the class that I use.
That's Joel Mokyr of Northwestern University, who only discovered he'd won the Nobel Prize when he later fired up his computer and found a note of congratulations. Mokyr is an economic historian. He found that innovation doesn't necessarily lead to economic growth, only when it's paired with the know-how to commercialize a new technology and with a society that's open to change. That combination has allowed living standards to more than double with each generation, thanks to new medicines, better communication, and more efficient sources of energy.
Over the span of 1 or 2 centuries, almost everything has changed. Change, not stagnation, has become the new norm.
But as with telephones, technology that's state-of-the-art one moment can soon be eclipsed by something better. So Mokyr shares the Nobel Prize with 2 other economists who helped describe that process of creative destruction: Peter Howitt of Brown University and Philippe Aghion of the College of France. Howitt says it's important to create safety nets for workers who might be displaced by new technology, otherwise they're likely to fight it in a way that limits economic growth.
Every new technology that has a great impact creates great losses as well. People have to be compensated, people have to be negotiated with in order to resolve that conflict in a way that allows the technologies to proceed.
Artificial intelligence could be the next big innovation, but Howitt says it's vital to maintain a competitive environment and not allow a handful of superstar firms to short-circuit the next round of innovation.
New technologies are brought in by disruptive outsiders who are interested in shaking up the status quo. But if they succeed in doing that, they become the status quo, and they are very resistant to people that want to do that in turn to them.
Howitt is skeptical about claims that AI will trigger widespread unemployment. He says similar fears about earlier technological advances proved to be unfounded. Still, Howitt and his fellow prize winners did warn of dark clouds on the horizon. Cuts to university research could create potholes in one path to innovation. Aghion says the Trump administration's protectionist trade policies could also hamper economic growth.
They have already. Most of the growth so far for the stock market has been for AI firms.
Aghion plans to invest his share in research with younger colleagues in further pursuit of creative destruction. Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
All right, fellas, let's talk. The choices for men losing their hair are limited.
I don't care about this. I'll be honest, I don't care about listening to people losing their hair. Even though it runs in my family, I'll probably be fine. No, I think it's important that they had an economic historian be a Nobel Prize winner. It is important to look back at the history of economic systems and study them and understand where some succeeded and some failed, and why some communities or countries are in economic ruin or have had long periods of economic success, or have success despite everything being against them. And to learn those lessons, like a lot of countries that specifically the United States tried to sanction into oblivion for having more socially oriented economies. Economies that weren't willing to sell their natural resources, or countries that weren't willing to sell their natural resources to big American oil firms or British refineries or stuff like that, and instead use the profits of that to build up their own country. Those countries still saw huge amounts of growth, and even more importantly, maybe not growth in the way that we think of it as GDP, but rather growth in the ability of their citizenry to have better lives. Their lifespans went up. They had better access to healthcare, more doctors, better reading. A lot of these countries brought so many people out of poverty, brought up literacy rates. I mean, you can see that in China and Cuba, a lot of Eastern Bloc countries during the 40s through 80s before perestroika and Western capitalists really came back in and privatized everything. But yeah, I don't know, the creative, or was it the planned destruction just sounds like planned obsolescence to me. And it is one of those things for, increasing growth as in dollars is, being able to have a constant consumer base, because your product will just crap out and break at a intended point. Which, if you think about it from like an ecological standpoint, is extremely wasteful, because we only have so many resources on this planet. We have a lot, and if we do it right, energy is effectively unlimited. But the ways to capture that energy, to deliver goods to people and all these things, that is limited until we can create huge fusion reactors, which is, even though fusion is only 10 years away, it's been 10 years away for the last 60 years. So take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, I'll leave it that there for now.
It's not that difficult to get some cold shower anymore. Like, it's my porridge, as Shakespeare says.
like there's a beauty and wisdom to it that we are unfortunately losing.
Are you still talking about his hair loss?
Just an art to follow up. He tells me he's happy with the results. His hairline looks more youthful. He feels more confident. And he believes he'll be able to save money in the process.
I'm happy I had the option to go to this level, for sure.
Oh, we got them Turkish hair
We're
plugs.
going to see a lot less bald heads in the future, just in general.
You might.
And while baldness isn't going extinct, it may be endangered. Rebecca Rossman, NPR News, Istanbul.
If you're going bald and you can't afford plugs, just commit. It looks so bad if you're halfway there and you're not like already grayed out.
After the deadly school shooting in Texas, a school to replace Robb Elementary is opening in the town of Uvalde. The school is called Legacy Elementary, and Texas Public Radio's Camille Phillips attended the opening ceremony.
Todas las mañanas que entra por mi ventana el señor sol, doy gracias a Dios por otro día más.
These junior high mariachi performers were students at Robb Elementary in 2022 when a gunman entered their school and shot their teachers and classmates. Now standing in the library of Uvalde's new school, they sing about thanking God for being able to see the sun through the window for another day. Legacy Elementary is bright, colorful, and full of windows that let in the sun. Behind the students is a wall of windows showcasing a 2-story steel tree. It has 2 big branches and 19 smaller branches, representing the 2 teachers and 19 students who died in the shooting. After the ceremony, Javier Casares stands in the courtyard on the other side of the windows and brushes away tears while looking up at the tree.
There was a color on the grass and just reminding my daughter, so I got emotional.
His 9-year-old daughter Jackie died in the shooting. Casares says seeing the new school is bittersweet.
It is a great school for the children. Sadly, it takes lives of our children to make the school.
He says he's happy kids are going to enjoy Legacy Elementary for generations. He just wishes Jackie could have been there. The new school was built to keep kids like Jackie safe.
So we're here to the 3rd grade wing.
During a tour of the school, Tim Miller points out security features, including bullet-resistant windows.
This would be an example of an access point where if we didn't have a badge, this door would not open.
Miller is executive director of a foundation that raised $60 million to pay for the school's construction.
You'll see cameras throughout the building. There are door prop alarms, so if an exterior door is left open for a little bit of time, the alarm will be sounded.
Door security is a priority. 3
There's
years
such
ago,
a better way to
the
do this.
Elementary
Oh my
threw side
God.
door that did not lock automatically the way it should have. Multiple state and federal investigations found that nearly 400 law enforcement officers waited more than an hour to confront the gunman.
Yeah, because they were cowards.
That's what we had to see.
Those fucking cops were cowards.
Marquez is a nurse at the local
That's why they
hospital.
didn't go in.
When I hear those children
The
speak,
parents
I
were more
think,
willing to risk their lives than the fucking cops that are paid to do it.
What they smelled, what they heard, I mean, that's forever.
She says her hope is that the new school is a new beginning for the students.
We owe it to Ima, to Eva, to the 19 children, right? This is here because of them. So build beautiful memories, tell the stories, and can't wait to hear the laughter in the hallways.
Outside in the playground, the junior high students who survived the shooting are helping break in the swings and merry-go-rounds, letting laughter and chatter fill the space for the first time. Like the song they played during the ceremony, all they and their town can do is keep trying to make today better than the day before.
Hoy como otros días yo seguiré tratándose mejor y sonriendo haré las cosas con amor.
For NPR News, I'm Camille Phillips in Uvalde.
Buenos días al amor.
You're listening to
Sorry, that just really made me very angry because this focus on door security, door access, we're treating our places of education where our children are supposed to feel safe like prisons. Like, there's a better solution to this, and it's called not letting any fuckhead be able to grab a firearm from an academy or a Walmart willy-nilly with almost no restrictions. It's absolutely ridiculous. Having an extra lock on a door is not going to help, and who knows how this system could fail and cause kids to be locked into a place during a disaster like this. Or just any other scenario. Like, this isn't the solution. Putting cops in schools with guns didn't fix the problem. Getting more cops in general didn't fix the problem, obviously in Uvalde, because they were all too much cowards to actually go in there. And our justice system has decided that police officers do not have the duty to protect and serve. They have no obligation to do so, which is why we, the people, need to fucking change that and elect officials who will write into law, or we put it on our ballot here in Georgia or throughout the United States, that these officers have a state constitutional demand, essentially, that they have to protect and serve the people of their community and not just act as fucking glorified security guards that are too scared to use their service weapon unless it's against a fucking homeless person having a mental health crisis. It's absolutely ridiculous. We need the implementation of red flag laws to be universalized across this nation, and we need to stop propping up these giant gun manufacturing companies so they stop selling literal hundreds of thousands of weapons that are meant to kill every year to Americans. It's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I'm not in a fucking militia. I don't need a firearm. And really, a lot of this problem comes from the push by the NRA in the 20th century and the reinterpretation of the Constitution. Sorry, getting on the highway. The reinterpretation of the Constitution over the last 50 years to include all people into, having a constitutional right to have firearms instead of, the words in the Constitution where it talks about keeping a regulated militia. How I see it is that if you're not a part of the state guard or the National Guard, you really don't need a weapon like that. You don't really need a firearm. And in addition, if you're going to say, firearms are supposed to protect democracy and be used against tyranny. Obviously, Americans are failing at that right now because we have an executive that is overreaching every day and has made Congress fucking worthless. Because half of it is filled with his fucking pawns that will do whatever he wants, and the other half is filled with fucking no-spined assholes that are ultimately servants of billionaires in Israel. And the other half is just the same. They just have a fucking R next to their name, and they're willing, I wouldn't say willing, but they're just going to go along with Trump no matter what. And the other side will just go along with Trump whenever their donors want it to happen. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. So just the focus should not be on door control. The focus should not be on having more resource officers in schools because they're just going to fucking puss out when you need them most. The effort should be put on limiting access to deadly weapons, limiting firearms, because if people who are mentally unwell, people who have no reason to own a firearm, don't get one, then you solve this problem. And you limit the types of firearms. Why does a person need an AR-15 that can hold a 30-round magazine? Why do I need that? I don't need that. I don't need an AR-15. I can get along with hunting with a fucking bolt-action rifle. That would probably be fine. Why does everyone need to be able to have a semi-automatic pistol that, you know, you can hide literally in a purse, in your pants, in your pocket, with absolutely no training at all on how to use, or, you know, how to use that weapon and how to maintain it? You can just go to academy and just get a firearm and you just have it. You know, there's no checks really on getting one if you have no experience doing that. At least with a car, you have to apply for a loan, you have to have insurance, you have to have at the very least a driver's permit if you're, you know, with your parents or something to get one in the first place. So like there's limits on it. There's nothing without firearms. So I'm gonna leave that rant there for the day. That just really got me heated, got me going, because I hate when they focus on the deflections that are bought and paid for by the gun lobby and by people who would rather protect pieces of metal that kill. You know, would rather do that than protect the children who those weapons have killed, and the people that they have killed. Just as simple as that. So y'all have a good one. I hope y'all have a better day than I'm having right now, just in this moment. It was a good day overall, but yeah, we need better gun regulation. We need better politicians. We need better fighting of people who should never hold a firearm in the first place. So y'all have a good one.